Hello. In this video, we'll see how to evaluate a single fund on FundSage. So this is the landing page. We want to go to this tab called Evaluate a Fund. You can either select a category and in that click on a fund, which opens into a new window, or you can actually select all funds. Start by typing out the name of the fund that interests you, which opens in a new window as well. So we will essentially start by studying a single fund's full report. At the top, you see these three measures of risk: credit risk, interest rate risk, and liquidity risk, and a few summary parameters here, such as credit quality score, interest rate risk driven by average residual maturity, liquidity proportion, YTM, and so on. Some facts here, and a risk map, which shows credit risk score, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst, and average residual maturity, which shows interest rate risk, this being the highest, this being the lowest. So essentially, this is the worst corner, this is the best, least risk corner. In some depth, then we can study credit risk, which is at ASCII, we don't believe that credit ratings do adequate justice to the true credit risk of a company. So we evaluate companies on their probability of default and hence give them a credit risk score of between 0 and 9.99, 10 being the government debt. And this is what is summarized here. We also show the conventional credit rating split by the companies for the fund's portfolio. This fund rates 3.4 out of 5 and category rank of about 12 out of 19. Next, we go to portfolio analysis, where we look at types of issuers. These are financial issuers, the non-financial issuers. There is sovereign, cash repo, all of that's covered here. Most importantly, amongst the issuers, the concentration measures. Industry, for example, you see finance, housing here, which might be a red flag for some people. Concentration by business house. In this case, none stands out as a problem, but in the past, some houses could have been an area of concern. Borrower concentration, in this case, it's pretty safe at HDFC, LIC Housing Finance, State Bank, etc. And this is summary of concentration measures. Generally, we also show red flags, which are companies with risk scores of below 4 or ratings of C or D. In this case, there are none, so this is empty. And then this is the interaction of credit risk and balance maturity. So short-term government debt is here, and high risk long-term papers are here. So your risk goes from this corner to this corner, increases. Is shown here as well. This fund is well behaved in the sense that normally you would expect outside of GSEC this area to be populated more than this, and this should ideally be empty, as is the case here. And a downward sloping line here would be essentially the cap on what you would expect in each category. Interest rate risk here is shown as 43% being more than 5 years maturity, so fairly high interest rate risk, quantified at 3.28% loss in case of a 1% yield rise. Liquidity profile shown here. This fund seems to have highly liquid or liquid securities and only a small proportion of highly illiquid securities. Final word, which is essentially the verdict of the system for HDFC Corporate Bond Fund. The black dot is the fund on the total risk score and returns level. Risk score 0 is the worst, 5 is the best. And you see that gray dots are other funds in the same category, and other colored dots are other categories. So this is overnight funds, this is credit risk funds. And so that's the fair risk line, if you will. This is a comparison of its risks and returns. In this case, risk is mildly lower than what is warranted by its expected returns. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's at par, or significantly higher or lower. Lastly, the verdict: this fund is quite good in terms of risk adjusted returns for its category. Other funds could be great or below par, average, so on and so forth. So that in a nutshell is the summary of a single fund evaluation in the FundSage system. We invite you to explore more, and do let us know your comments. Thanks for watching.